"Oh, they're just not good enough. They're, I want to make it look real." Quentin Tarantino has always been super vocal about loving actors. He celebrates them, brings back their careers, and often creates whole movies around what they do best. For him, making movies is working together, writing words that other people bring to life. And yet, even in Tarantino's world, not every team-up was meant to be. Here's the thing. You can 1 minute. 1 minute. All right? And then for all his success, Tarantino has kept memories of partnerships that went badly. Some actors didn't match his vision. Some messed up the flow, and others just left him wishing the movie had been made with someone else. Tarantino once said that when things fall apart, regret stays longer than praise. In the craziness of Hollywood, regret is just as much a part of your story as winning. And for a director who turned conversations into poetry and violence into art, those regrets show the delicate trust between filmmaker and actor. Here are 7 actors Quentin Tarantino finally said he regretted working with, and why their names left their mark on his story. Number 1, Bruce Willis. When Tarantino brought Bruce Willis into Pulp Fiction, it felt like it was meant to be. Willis played Butch, the boxer stuck between fate and violence, and gave a performance that made the film legendary. But behind the scenes, working together was less smooth. Tarantino respected Willis's star power, but had trouble with his closed-off way of acting. Where Tarantino loved taking risks and showing feelings, Willis often stuck to staying cool and distant. People on set claimed Tarantino later said the clash made him uncomfortable. A reminder that even great work can come with barriers. Willis was already Hollywood royalty, a big star with charm that brought in crowds. But Tarantino's movie sets needed complete commitment to rhythm. The dialogue, the pauses, the raw emotion between lines. Crew members remembered Tarantino asking Willis to tone down the performance, only to run into the actor's preference for keeping things quiet. The director wanted weakness beneath the toughness. But Willis stuck to being reserved. "Bruce got the outside right," Tarantino said years later. "But I wanted what was underneath." Even though the end result was powerful, Tarantino felt regret that the partnership didn't have the closeness he found with Samuel L. Jackson or Christoph Waltz. The Pawn Shop Escape showed Willis at his best, cool under pressure, owning the screen. But Tarantino later compared working with him to playing jazz with someone who won't go with the flow. The comparison shows the gap. The notes were there, but the music was missing. For Tarantino, regret wasn't about the performance, but about the experience. Movies at their heart are about trust. With Bruce Willis, that trust never fully happened. Number 2, Don Johnson. In Django Unchained, Don Johnson showed up as the flashy and scary Big Daddy. On screen, he was unforgettable. Off-screen, stories suggested there was trouble. Johnson's ad-libbing sometimes went against Tarantino's carefully written scripts. For a director who builds dialogue like music, ad-libbing can feel like breaking the beat. Johnson gave what was needed, but Tarantino later admitted the process left him with doubts. For him, regret isn't about what you see on screen. It's about the journey it took to get there. Tarantino has often said, "The script is the Bible. Every word is carefully picked, made to hit with exact rhythm." Johnson, however, came from a background of looser television and film work, where actors often change dialogue to find spontaneity. Django isn't a slave. Django is a free man. You understand? This difference was small, but always there. Johnson's instincts sometimes bent the timing in ways that bothered Tarantino. Crew members remembered moments where Tarantino got frustrated when Johnson stretched out lines or ad-libbed small actions. For audiences, those quirks added charm. For Tarantino, they messed up the careful melody. "I write words to be played like notes," he explained. And when someone changes them, the song goes out of tune. The plantation standoff scene showed Johnson's skill. Charming, threatening, and bigger than life. Yet Tarantino admitted afterward that working together left him unsatisfied. The result looked great on film, but the process felt unbalanced. His regret wasn't about Johnson's talent, but about their different approaches. The film got a memorable bad guy. But Tarantino left believing that even great acting can carry regret when the harmony behind it is broken. Number 3. Michael Madsen. Michael Madsen is part of Tarantino's movie family. From Reservoir Dogs to Kill Bill, but families can break apart. Their working relationship has been rocky, marked by loyalty, but also fights. Madsen's unpredictability, his reputation for showing up unprepared or unfocused, tested Tarantino's patience. Though Madsen's presence on screen was electric, the director later thought about the chaos that came with it. Sometimes regret isn't about picking the wrong person. It's about trusting someone who couldn't always rise to the occasion. Madsen's performance as Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs is still one of Tarantino's most lasting images. His cool danger mixed with unpredictability gave Tarantino the perfect example of the violent loose cannon. But behind that brilliance, there were problems. Madsen himself admitted to showing up unprepared on certain days, often distracted by personal battles that made focusing hard. Michael had the power to make or ruin a scene. Tarantino once said that instability became both a strength and a weakness. During Kill Bill, where Madsen played Bud, crew members remembered moments of quiet tension as Tarantino tried to keep the actor focused and steady. Not in El Paso, it ain't. When Madsen was locked in, the result was unforgettable. When he lost focus, the process slowed down and people got angry. Tarantino later thought that Madsen was just like the unpredictable characters he played. With Michael, chaos was always part of the package, he explained. It made his performances feel real, but also drained the trust needed for working together. The regret was complicated. Tarantino stayed loyal to Madsen, but loyalty came with a price. The talent was clear, yet the drama left scars that could never quite heal. Number 4. Uma Thurman. No partnership defines Tarantino more than his with Uma Thurman. Together, they created Kill Bill, a revenge story that became legendary. Yet, working together came at a cost. Thurman was injured on set during a dangerous stunt, and their friendship broke apart for years. Tarantino has admitted regret, not for the art they created, but for the pain it caused. In his own words, he wished he had done things differently. The story of Thurman and Tarantino isn't one of hate, but of scars. The bride was more than a character. She was the heart of Tarantino's vision. Thurman's intensity, vulnerability, and physical ability made her an icon of modern movies. But during the filming of Kill Bill Volume 2, a car stunt went wrong. Thurman was injured, and the trust between actor and director shattered. Tarantino later admitted, "It's the biggest regret of my career." The aftermath was public. Thurman spoke openly about her anger and fear, while Tarantino carried the weight of guilt. For years, they avoided working together. Their bond broken by one terrible day. The injury not only changed their friendship, but also haunted Tarantino's own sense of responsibility as a filmmaker. Yet they made up eventually. "She was my muse," Tarantino said, "and I failed her when she needed me most." They found a way to honor both the art and the wounds, appearing together again years later, carefully rebuilding trust. Still, the regret stays. Kill Bill remains a masterpiece, but it carries shadows. For Tarantino, victory will always be connected to the scars of sacrifice. Number 5. Channing Tatum. Tarantino cast Channing Tatum in The Hateful Eight, but working together was brief and awkward. Tatum's late entry into the project and his role's limited screen time left the director with doubts about whether the casting helped the story. Tatum himself admitted he fought for the role, but Tarantino later thought that it never fully worked. Sometimes regret isn't about conflict, but in the sense of what could have been better. Tatum's excitement was obvious. He campaigned for the part of Jody, desperate to work with Tarantino. "How are you doing, Emmy?" But by the time he showed up, the group had already built a rhythm. The production was set up like a tight, enclosed play, needing chemistry and trust built over weeks of practice. Tatum's sudden arrival felt like an interruption in a symphony already playing, breaking the careful timing Tarantino valued. "Channing gave me his full effort," Tarantino admitted. But the role needed danger that never fully showed up. While Tatum did his scenes professionally, Tarantino later suggested the casting had been more about respecting Tatum's determination than perfect fit with the character. Crew members remembered the cabin shootout as a test of balance. Tatum gave intensity, but it lacked the worn-in toughness that defined the rest of the cast. The group's energy was nonstop, while Tatum seemed like a guest performer in someone else's rhythm. Tarantino's regret here wasn't about failure, but about settling. Sometimes the role doesn't need a star, it needs the right shadow, he thought. Tatum's presence was admirable, but in Tarantino's orchestra, admiration wasn't enough to create lasting harmony. Number 6. Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel helped Tarantino launch his career as Mr. White in Reservoir Dogs. Keitel gave credibility to a young, unproven director. But being grateful didn't erase tension. Tarantino reportedly found Keitel's